Welcome everybody back to boostinmotion, guys, and today this video is gonna be for my red sport, guys. Yes, so you guys have been asking me a few different questions, and I realized that with red sport, guys, you guys have to choose your modifications a little bit differently just than our regular luxes, premiums, and 3.0Ts. Sports, not really, but just the luxes and premiums. So for my q50, q60 red sports and 3.0T sport, guys, this video is for you guys. Let's jump into it. So, number one, some of the questions I get asked is, Boost, I want to get coilovers or lower springs for my car, right? And I realized that our car comes with DDS suspension. Pretty much for you guys who don't know, DDS suspension is slightly an adjustable suspension that comes from factory on red sports and 3.0T sports that have the sport packaging. This allows you to adjust the firmness of the suspension on the stock struts and or springs. Now, you guys have two options, and I'm only talking for the red sport guys because I know my 3.0T guys are watching, and you're like, I could do that too. No, we can't do that, all right? Okay? What happens is that you guys have this two options when it comes to suspension. Number one, you can actually go with lowering springs. Everybody that I've spoken to who have gotten lowering springs on a DDS equipped red sport or DDS equipped 3.0T sport, they actually love the lowering springs, and it had really good ride comfort. I would assume because you can actually adjust the firmness of that lowering of the firmness of that suspension. I don't know longevity wise on how long that will last, but my recommendation, if you do want to go with a lowering spring for your red sport and or your 3.0T sport with DDS, I would recommend going with a smaller drop. This is like the RSR downs or anything with a small drop about an inch or slightly longer than an inch. Don't go for the extreme drops where it's like 2 inches or anything like that from different brands. Stick with the RSRs and or if AXLEBACK makes drop springs, or maybe even TNs and a few others. But only go with the lightest drop. Don't go with the more aggressive drop, because this allows you to not beat on the OEM suspension too much so that you can get the longest longevity of these struts. I don't know how long these struts are supposed to last. I don't know how much they cost, but knowing that if you want to keep your car, you just want to lower your car a little bit but not lose too much ride comfort, I recommend the lightest drop, period. Okay? Number two, people have asked me, well, Boost, I have a red sport, a 3.0T with DDS, and I want to get coilovers. Will I get a check engine light? No, you won't get a check engine light at all. But what would happen is you would get a DTC code. This is pretty much like a code. The car reads different modules on different body components. So because the car has DDS equipped, you will get a DTC code. This is not going to show up on your dash. It's within the car itself. You can pass inspection and everything with this DTC. No problem. No matter, I think it's like 51 states. You should have no issues running into any inspection problems because it doesn't show up like a check engine light. But it will always be there, and that's it. It won't hinder performance or anything like that. You would pretty much disconnect the actual sensor from the strut when you put the coilovers in, and you'll just either zip tie it and put it under the splash guard and call it a day. That's it. Literally, that's it. You'll know what I'm talking about when you guys go to install your coilovers. But some of you guys are gonna sit there and say, well, Boost, is there any coilovers out there that actually work with the DDS suspension? And yes, RSR company that makes RSR downs, the springs, they also make a coilover for it. Pretty much, I assume that this is some kind of sensor that you can actually plug in, and it reads and or, I would say it either reads or tricks the car to think that the sensor is actually there, or it's probably a high quality sensor that actually reads the different changes that's sent from the specific module to change the firmness. And I would assume that you can probably actually change the amount of firmness on the coilover itself on the fly. I would assume, I'm only assuming from what I read, that it changed the firmness. And that's actually a pretty good, that's pretty much a good modification. But those coilovers are usually typically $1,000 more, or almost double the price of the regular price of coilovers such as Megan's, BC Racing and stuff like that. So if you do want to go that route, yes, those RSRs are available. I've heard great idea. I've read and heard great reviews from the coilovers, but you get to pay for what you pay for. So, but you guys gonna jump in and say, well, Boost, like, what would you recommend? I'm gonna be straight up with you guys. To be honest, my car didn't come with the sport packaging. It came, my 2.0T Sport came with the sport packaging for seats and bumper, the appearance package, but it didn't come in that year with the full sport packaging because I was being cheap. So I never had to run into this issue. So I never had it. I don't know how these coilovers are going to be run, but I had BC Racing coilovers and they did what they're supposed to do. Period. Now, moving off from suspension, the only last thing I would really want to talk about that would be a little different from Red Sport compared to regular other cars is the front heat exchanger. If you go get Mishimoto, PLM, AMS heat exchanger, you shouldn't really run into any issues at all. Even if you choose to go with the frozen boost heat exchanger, this gives you that front mount look. You relatively shouldn't really run into any issue at all. It's really the guys who choose to get the Burger Tuning heat exchanger. Reason being is your car comes equipped with an engine oil air cooler. So that oil cooler sits to the front of the car, slopes to the front of the condenser to the bottom. The Burger Tuning heat exchanger actually is supposed to sit in that same area. Burger Tuning gives you a bracket to relocate that oil cooler to the top above the Burger Tuning heat exchanger, but a lot of people choosing to are running into issues with this, and not because of the placement, but because they want to run the Burger Tuning heat exchanger in line with the OEM heat exchanger. So that oil cooler will actually block the OEM heat exchanger. So some people run into those issues. I would recommend just getting rid of the OEM heat exchanger, relocating with the bracket for the Burger Tuning heat exchanger to the top and the Burger Tuning heat exchanger to the bottom, and then you'll be good to go. And that only applies to the 3.0T Sports with the sport packaging that come oil equipped, and oil cooler equipped, and the Red Sports that already come with the oil cooler regardless. So outside of that, those are really only issues I would honestly sit there and say that you'll run into if you are modifying your Red Sport 3.0T for basically those two modifications, from the suspension to the heat exchanger. Everything else is necessarily still the same. There's really no difference outside of that. There's nothing I would really add. That's it. You shouldn't run into any other issues outside of that, guys. So I appreciate you guys so much. If you want to support me and support the channel, check the Teespring account below for the BoostinMotion merch. You can add me at BoostinMotion IG, Facebook, and boostinmotion@gmail.com. I've started already, but pretty much if you guys want to ask a question to me, I'm only answering questions on the weekends. Outside of that, if you want to get a quick and direct response during the weekdays, you can cash at me at #BoostinMotion so I can give you the direct answer. But outside of that, I'm going to save all the answers I'm going to give to the weekends because I'm getting a lot of questions, and at this point, I'm not really getting paid to answer 10 to 20, 30, 40, 50 emails a day. It's too much. And I make plenty of videos to give out those answers for free. So outside that, guys, you have a good morning, good afternoon, good night. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. You have a good day. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Do appreciate you guys. Love you guys very much. You can also check out the 2 links I posted for some of my other videos. Also, on top of that, if you want to purchase some BoostinMotion merch, definitely check the link that I posted also. And finally, if you've been watching all my videos and you enjoy them, please hit the link to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.